This is RiverTalks with Jonathan Brush, President and CEO of Unbound.
I listen to a podcast daily from the Economist magazine called The Intelligence. It's a really good podcast. It's a different view on world affairs and comes from a very British point of view. And I often find that quite helpful and insightful. They raise my blood pressure a little bit on certain social issues, which is good. I enjoy listening to somebody talk about things from a perspective that I don't agree with, and it gives me something new to think about. But included in that British perspective is nothing less than an absolute ignorance when it comes to religion. And I say that in the most charitable way possible. And recently they ran this piece that basically asked the question, why is the Christian God so obsessed with sex? And then they proceeded to list 5 or 6 books, I can't remember how many, that would detail about this. Now, to their credit, they listed Augustine's Confessions, and so I'd say that's a pretty good one to read, although they did quite the hit job on St. Augustine as they did it. And then the rest were all from atheistic authors. And I just find this incredible, not because I'm offended that the Economist thinks differently than I do on these issues, not that because I disagree with their conclusion. I just think that it's incredible that a reputable news organization that I think is actually does an excellent job reporting the world affairs and politics and all this kinds of things is so absolutely ignorant about something as fundamental to the human condition as religion. And not just that, but to the Christian religion, which has had a major impact on forming the culture of the Western world, and including England, and that they would sort of throw out everything they practice everywhere else when it comes to journalism. For example, if you're going to run a piece on why the Christian God seems to be obsessed with sex, maybe you ought to start with asking what the Christian God says about it, because the Christian religion has a whole book, which we refer to as the Bible, which most in Western culture knows about, that actually in quite a lot of detail lays out why God thinks the way he does about those things and why he says it's important. And then not only that, but it's not like this is a question that we just asked yesterday. This is a question that's been asked, since Augustine at least. And there's been lots and lots of thinkers and lots of writers and lots of really smart, intelligent people who have put down reasons for why Christianity thinks the way it does about these kinds of issues. And I think, personally, there's some pretty compelling arguments, but they're not lazy arguments. At the very least, whether you believe them or not, they are serious arguments. They're arguments that are laid forth with a lot of thought and a lot of background and a lot of supporting material. And if you're going to run a piece like that, the very least you should check out and see what they say about it. That's the part that just sort of not just troubles me, but concerns me. Why is it that it's impossible to ask questions that would allow you to look at things from a different perspective? I'm willing to listen to The Economist, even when they say things that I disagree with, and to think about what they're saying and to consider their position. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and to listen to their best arguments. Why is it impossible for them to reverse that and to look for the best arguments from the Christian side for those kinds of things? And there's a bit of irony, a world and a culture that today appears to me to be totally obsessed with sex in all its various forms, casting stones against Christianity and for his position on it seems a little bit, at the very least, ironic. So, as you're thinking about this, it's not that I'm arguing into one position or another, but I would suggest that it's worth taking seriously the arguments from both sides, and that people who are willing to do that are people that ultimately can get to a better place on what they believe and why they believe it.